So I used to be really hung up on that my work had to have a real powerful message, and that I never felt like my concepts were really that great. And other artists that I go to gallery shows, just it was so impressive. And I remember once and it was just, I just never really felt like I had much to say about anything. I mean, what I was going to say, I would sort of make up stuff like, well, this is about, I'd kind of create something to give my work some gravitas. It's like how to make this stuff feel more important, because it just wasn't. It's just what I was making. And I'll never forget it. I went to this art show once of a very reputable gallery, and there was some of the artists that I loved in there, and the whole evening was going, and I was kind of a bit of a fly on the wall, but I'm walking around checking all this stuff out, and the work's just like, this stuff is like, these people are so far ahead of me, and the names of it was so interesting, like the names of the art. It was clearly this artist had so much, they were on a thing, like they're just, their whole perspective, and I really admired that and felt like I wasn't that. But I'll never forget it. I was talking to the gallery director, and I was saying, I just love this guy's work, and I was kind of trying to pick her brains about his work and how he makes it and everything. And I think she had a couple glasses of wine, and I said, well, this thing's so wild. Like, he came up with this, and it's called this. Like, what's behind this? Like, kind of the question under the question is, how can I be like that guy? And she goes, oh, Frank, or whatever. She's like, he just makes this shit up, and walked away. And I was like, what? What? Like, he's just playing. It seems something, and I'm not saying that, that there's not artists out there that have powerful, of course, amazing concepts and everything, but I just wasn't one of them. But I thought you needed to have that. And I never got to know, you never know behind the scenes. And that little peek, it gave me permission to feel like, well, God, if this person's just winging it, maybe it's okay if I just make my art and figure it out later. It gave me a huge amount of information and insight from that little just crack in the door from behind the scenes. Anyway, this is Nicholas Wilton, and this is Art to Life. And today I'm talking about learning by getting to see more about a person's process and see actually how something happens and how helpful that is. And so it got me to thinking, it's like, I make all this work and you post it and stuff. Sometimes you show a video and stuff, but I've been getting a lot of questions lately about people like, well, what are you thinking when you work on a picture? How do you start one? Or when you go back, like no one ever you never get to see that part, right? So I thought today I'd just take 5 or 10 minutes or 5 minutes and just share with you. I'm going to start back in on this painting, what I'm thinking about and how I do it. It might free you up and maybe give you some ideas as to something you can do, right? Like it's that behind the scenes thing that, God, it's so liberating, when you see how possible this is, then you feels like you can do this too, which of course you can. So anyway, so I just thought I'd dive into this here. This is a picture I just started. This is the first lay-in. You can see that, learning item number one is I try to be really bold first, right? I try to be as bold as I can and really have something to respond to, really some shapes and some colors, and I don't use this bright red as much, I use oil pastels a lot in my work, R and F, because they're so direct and it's so fast. Like I just made that mark. It's so quick. I like to work fast and be able to call and respond really quickly, and they're bold. And I also use paint, of course, but I tend to, I've used this metaphor of like driving a race car. You want to drive a race car down a mountain road, and you're going to go so fast. It's so amazing to the point where you're about to go off the road. You're driving so fast, but maybe you are about to fall off the cliff, but then you can freeze frame it and you can back up the camera, and it's just on that edge. So that's where I try to go to, especially in the beginning. The stakes are so low. The reason I do that is because I end up with something like this that's got a bunch of stuff that I can feel when I look at it, when I come in as I am today on the second day and start working on it. So what I also do is when I look at it, I like to have contrast. I like to have some contrast in a few different places so it moves my eye around so I look at things. But contrast is one of those things that it wakes you up. It brings you alive, and I want to have that in the work. So I might come in and darken some of this stuff so it's even more bolder, right? But I like to have that contrast. So now when I come in, what I do, what I think when I look at this thing, which it's, it's actually not horrible. I mean, I don't like it, but it's something going on. I look for what I like and what parts I like and what is working or what's not working. And usually it's just what I like. And I think this is a good way to approach it, right? Because most of this isn't that great, but maybe, and it depends on certain days, maybe some of this is kind of amazing. I sort of like this area down here a little bit. I like those colors a bit. I like this sort of oxidized yellow. I don't really like this purple and pink thing. I don't like that, but I don't want to focus on those. I want to kind of focus on what's going on over here with this sort of like some areas being covered up a little. I like this part here a little bit, and in terms of coloration, I'm definitely liking this down here the most. So now what I do is I will start editing. I'll start covering stuff up. Generally, it's like I'm covering things up on the second pass and starting to let the things that I do like show up more. But I have no idea what this painting is going to be like more than you do right now. But it's sort of gridded, which is weird. I don't usually do that. But so what I would do is, and I use buckets of paint, and I use fairly large brushes in the beginning, but I like the buckets of paint because I can bring it to the painting and I can start getting rid of the worst offenders, the things that I don't like, like I just hate this purple and it feels so good to get rid of it. So I will, and I usually have a ladder. Can you grab that white ladder thing over there? This is a great tool, by the way. These step ladders, let me show this to you. I painted mine white, and now it's all covered in paint, but these are really good. They're great for going up and down on because they're safe, but they're also really good for this. They're just the right height for putting the bucket of paint on and a few tools. So I'll have my bucket of paint there. And again, so I start covering up things that I don't like, right? And you can see I'm pretty generous with the paint. I like to have a lot of extra paint. I'm bold. I'm really bold, especially in the beginning stages. I've got a lot of surface area to cover. And from my experience, the more paint I get on the picture, the cooler things start going. Now, I use trowels a lot. I will always kind of like put this paint on and then apply it, right? And just kind of get it on. And that's sort of like, covering some areas up. And when I do that, you start to notice things that are left more. And so that's what the process I kind of use as I go. And I use these painting guides as well to start, if I want to keep an area, I can just cover it. So now, and I will work on one area, but then I'm going to go somewhere very far away and start covering up. I really work on the whole picture. You want to work on the whole picture. So I need to get back and look at it. I don't want to just get fussy in one area. I'm still thinking globally here when I'm working. And do know that what I'm sharing with you is not at all the definitive way to work. So, listen and take what's useful and leave the rest, right? This is just me. This is what I'm doing. This is how I do it, and there might be something in here that you could take away for you. So that's definitely sort of, so getting rid of these areas that I don't like is important. Now, you see how it's just getting more interesting already, just what's left, you know, I just don't like that. You know, anything I don't like, I just kind of get rid of. And yeah, lots of drips happen and things happen along the way. A lot of people are like, how do you get so many drips? It's because I'm so impatient. And you can see I'm really got a lot of paint that I'm applying, you know, getting rid of more of that purple. And I like to leave, you know, I want to have some contrast here because it keeps the painting alive. You know, it's like if I cover this dark up, I'll put something else dark there. I'm always going to like to have some value contrast because it allows me to see better what I'm doing. Now, so I will get some painting going on here. I might mix up some colors or whatever, but also, let me just show you one other thing, which is kind of cool. Sometimes I will take a color and I will draw, right? This is oil pastel, and I'll draw in here. And so I look then if I like that or not, which I don't. And then I will come in and I can mix the paint back over this, right? I can make this simpler. I can get rid of it, but it leaves this area, right? Like, so I can kind of see it. So there's that history. I can mix up a color with the paint. Like I can take this and I can make this whole area a really light yellow. See how quickly it, I can take some paint on here and I can create this really great color here that's mixed from the oil pastels. So I'm drawing back into this, you know, coming in, letting things see how the oil pastel shows up beneath. But I'm staying focused on the whole thing. So this is you know how I work on this, and then I'll start getting it and fine tuning it and adjusting things, and hopefully getting more and more parts that I like to where I start getting most of it working, and then the changes become lesser and lesser and lesser, and I just kind of keep going until things that I didn't think I would like, or, you know, that weren't intentional, I actually like that part, you know, so I'll probably keep that, you know, I like that part now, you know, so there's all these sort of surprises and things that happen, and I'll flip the work upside down, and that can be helpful, and work on it upside down. Anyway, these are just some of the ways I approach the work, and I'd love to hear how you approach the work and what you think of it. Hopefully some of this is helpful for you. It's kind of a crazy, like how we all work, how we all make our art. It's so different and personal, but it's something we never really get to see because we're just never standing there. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear comments. And for those of you who are new here, we have a free Facebook group, the Art to Life Artist Group. Amazing art being made from all over the world, all kinds of mediums. Everyone's super helpful, super positive. And it's a pretty great place, a pretty great community to be a part of, and you're invited. Thanks for being here. Have an awesome day in the studio. Okay. Hey everyone, if you found this helpful, I have a whole lot more to teach, share, and inspire you with every single week. So please join the Art to Life YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Okay, great. Let's do this.